Easy, how are we?
Johnny! I'm a bit embarrassed.
I'm actually not for once, but for many times in this intro when you say something, I lost for words. I know where this is going, but well, I don't know exactly what way you're going to say it, if I'm totally honest with you. The floor, sir, is yours.
I found out I've got weak ankles. And probably doesn't help that I'm a bit heavier on top than the ankles would like. But we recorded an episode on, was it Thursday or Friday? Friday. It was Friday we recorded it. And after that, I was like, go for a little trot. And we were bringing the dogs for a walk. Kate was like, we'll go. I want to get my steps in. I was like, steps off. I'm going. I'm doing something. So I said, I'll do a trick, Kate. Went off with the dogs. Well, first of all, the dogs went with Katie. And then one of them realised, hold on, where's the other fella? He's gone running. Came after me. Caught up with me after about 700 metres. Came like the clappers. I was like, right, we'll do a little one. She loves going through the trees. And there is lovely trails in Donadee. So I was 2.5k in. And she went into the trees. And I was like, look, we'll do this little section. And then we'll go back onto the path, me, Kate. I was only planning on doing 3.5k, just a little shakeout because I hadn't done much. And but the nettles are kind of growing in, and there was one part where the nettles really went. Sure, the dog jumped over these nettles, and I was like, yeah, sweet, I'll do the same. Jumped over, and it wasn't like soil on the other side. It was like, when roots of trees are sticking out of the ground.
Yep.
But at that point, it was too late. It was like the other guys, on the rock, and Samuel, what do you think of what I'm thinking? Aim for the bushes. I was already there. So I came down pretty much. I tried to land. I slipped off the root of the tree completely sideways on my ankle. And to make it worse, I fell straight into the fucking bush and nettles I was trying to jump over. Yeah, my leg just went from under me.
Comical.
And I fell right. I went right into them. You should have seen the amount of stings I had. My arm, my back, my legs. I was in briars and nettles, and I couldn't move. I knew I was in a spot of trouble. I couldn't move my leg. I was like, oh no. And the dog comes back in, starts licking my face and all. I was like, when you get the fuck out of me? But in fairness to her, I'll give her credit. She knew there was something wrong. She was just trying to help me. But yeah, it was... Oh, it was bad. It wasn't nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I've been. I'll give credit to the healthcare system. I don't know how many people know this, but there's a small. Well, maybe I shouldn't tell it in case the next time I have a small injury, everyone knows about it. But there's a small injuries.
Well, you're not going to be running for a while, so you're free to tell it.
There's a small injuries clinic in Naas, and so we were obviously talking about it. It was like Friday on a bank holiday. I was like, I'm not going to A&E. I'm going to bed. And whatever kind of sleep I'm going to have, I'll put my foot up. I'd ice on it. Good time to give a shout out to Ultra Pure's menthol gel as well. I was lashing that stuff onto it to try and keep the swelling down. But then the next morning, on it all, I was like, oh no, I was just in denial about it. I was like, it's grand. And then the next morning I stood in it and I nearly fainted with the pain of it. I was like, jeez. I've really done something here, and I was really annoyed. I'd just done my first shift in work on the new job I've moved into, and then now it just looks like I did one shift, couldn't handle it, and threw myself down the stairs. So yeah, so anyway, I was in and out in an hour. Got x-rays, everything else. So I have to go back.
And what the x-rays say?
It's not broken, but he was concerned because the swelling in the ankle, in his words, he says it's swollen like it's broken. Because usually a sprain would be one side or the other, and he was saying this, and look, obviously it made sense to him. I was like, just broken or not, let's start with there. And he says it's not broken, but because of the swelling, maybe we're not picking up on everything. And he said, but I'd imagine there's something more going on inside, given the amount of swelling. Like I've got like a club foot. It's actually just...
Well, I saw you put the picture up on Strava.
Yeah, I put it up on Strava because try a tie obviously wasn't going to happen, and I was hunting a bit of sympathy from the world, which was great because I haven't been running, and then the first run I do, I fucking do myself in. So it's a nice excuse actually now. It takes the pressure off. You should give it a go, Sean.
No, absolutely not. That's the last thing on my mind is trying to get injured right now.
The Strava one was probably an hour after. The next morning's photo I didn't post was a bit more gruesome. The colour, like I was worried because I had two different coloured feet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, this isn't good at all. So yeah, we have to have an MRI in this coming week. And but a very efficient system in terms of the injury clinic, X-ray, consult, the whole lot. It was 75 quid. And I have a physio booked for 3 weeks, an MRI booked for next week, and that was all that was required. It keeps people out of A&E with small injuries, and it's exactly what it's for. So I have to say, I was absolutely amazed. So
You did your due diligence here and
yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
research to
So I
find
give it
out
a
what was,
5-star review. So this is Eric's review of the Small Injuries Clinic in Nice. Well done. It was absolutely excellent. I have to say, I was very impressed because I packed a bag. You know, like you get used to the healthcare system in Ireland. You pack a bag and you're like, bring a charger, bring a neck pillow, bring everything. You know, how long are we going to be here? Um, but yeah, in and out in an hour. I was absolutely amazed. But then they stuck this big boot on me now. So when I'm moving around, I stick the boot on, and then if I'm resting up, it's boot off. So they're not too concerned that it's not broken, but he is concerned there's just something more sinister going on the inside. But we'll see. I'm positive. I think it'll be grand. I think a couple of weeks. Yeah, a little bit of physio, and we'll get back on it.
Yeah.
But the realities is running is probably, this is probably not going to be straight back into. But if I can get back cycling or swimming and everything else, then there's plenty of other things we can do. So quite positive. And there's people out there in worse situations. But I'm in a sore one at the minute. But in a week's time, it'll be. Well, unless I go to the MRI and be like, actually, there was 3 fractures that didn't show up there. When that's a different scenario. But 6 weeks to the wedding. It was touch and go there.
Look, you don't have to walk up the aisle for the wedding. You're up there anyway. It's just putting a king's throne. You'd be grand. But it's the irony that last week or the week before in the podcast, you're like your big goal, get through the summer and Dundee. I think I could be wrong, Eric, but I think Dundee has paths there, right?
Yeah. Well, I followed the dog, Sean. That's the problem. That's rule number 1. I went having a bit of fun, and we just talked about trails and the beauty of trails and all that. And I was like, "Yeah, come on,
podcast, yeah,
let's go, let's do it. Stick trails up your arse." That's what I say for this episode. That is amazing about trails. It is a fantastic episode about that. My experience with it wasn't so good this time, but it's not the first time I've done it. I've done nearly a full 5-6K loop around there, running the trails, jumping over trunks, and it's fun. There's something free about it. But yeah, no, it went completely wrong. But I had 2K walk back to the car as well. It happened like at the furthest point from the car. I was in a kink. So yeah, just hobbling, and the dog. So the poor dog had like knew. I have to say, the instinctiveness and the intelligence of the dog knew something. She was trying to like walk between me legs, like almost like, here, sit me back there. I'll bring you back. Like there was just something. She just knew, and she kept licking the back of my leg, and it was just like looking up at me, like, you all right? Like it was.
What kind of dog?
It's a cross. I think it's a cross between some sort of collie and something else, and it's a little skinny thing. Great for a run. Loves going running, hates going walking. So if she sees one, that's why she ran after me. I was like, I'm not walking. I'm going for a run. So, but yeah, it was actually amazing to see the intuition. Even though I was like, hey, dude, stop licking my fucking face. But the aftermath, like, wouldn't leave me side. Like, even when Kate went and got the car, the other dog was running around like nothing happened, didn't give a shit. But Kate ran up and said, right, sit there, I'll get the car. And the dog was like, well, just sat down beside me, didn't leave. I was like,
wow.
Yeah, until Kate came back with the car. So it was an impressive story. I think they're actually going to make a movie on it next week.
Shit.
But look,
anything, sir.
I did. Jared, I sent a picture that Jared obviously got on to me. It was had some stern words for me.
I can't imagine that man had too much sympathy for you.
Yeah,
what he went through, like.
But he did say if it's ligaments, you could be goosed for a while longer. So Dublin, he said, could be a slow one, but you should be all right for Dundee. That was his words. So we already got straight back onto the focus of what the goals are. But but look, it was a good weekend for sport, good weekend for running for most other people. I know Cork went ahead today. It was a great marathon. Gary O'Hanlon, I think, won his age category. I think he was around 2 hours 26. I want to double
That
check
was Wayne
that.
Waldron. Wayne Waldron came 2:26. Unless Gary did as well as his age group. I know Wayne came third overall on his 40th birthday. Happy birthday, Wayne. But while you checked that as well, last week's guest
Yeah,
on the podcast,
2:26,
he did.
59. He was fourth. So him and Wayne must have been right.
Wow. Yeah, Wayne was. Sorry, I did see that. Wayne said he was with Gary for the last 10K,
Yeah,
and they were pretty much racing. Wayne was 2:26. I can't read my writing, but either 22 or 24 there beside that. So must be 20, 30 seconds there. Chris, who was in the podcast last week, and he's a couple of days away from doing his leaving cert, got his sub 3:10.
excellent.
Martin. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And Aoife, our fantastic four from last year, she got a PB in a half marathon as well. The half marathon, I saw a clip of Ellen Cassidy, who passed away last year. Her folks did it. They had like 220 people doing it, all dressed in yellow and stuff.
It's really hard. It's really hard to put that into words. And I've seen a couple of the clips done on it, and it's really tastefully done, but it's hard to watch.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
It's really tough on the family and tough on runners who just show up to go for a run, and that, it's hard.
And then the oldest person to finish it was 86-year-old, and I felt bad because I suffered today doing a 23K on a run before doing my event next week. But 86, oldest finished a marathon, Dave Walsh, unbelievable doing that. I hope I'm still somewhat running at 86, but the way I feel today, I'm not too sure I'll be running next week, let alone in oh my God, I can't do maths. 50 years less than 50 years time. Am I? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than a little bit less than 50. Here, do you want to lend me boot? Might give you a hand.
Absolutely not. It'll weigh me down on the climbing next week. I don't need your boot.
Fiber in the bottom of this boot.
Oh, but then give me. I need all the help in the world for next week. What I'm doing
it afterwards. But yeah, it was a good weekend, and a big shout out to everyone who was taking part in the VHI Women's Mini Marathon today. Huge numbers, an absolute phenomenal turnout. Well done to every lady. My sister was out there today taking on the mini marathon again. It's really phenomenal to see so many people getting together, and it's such a great cause and gives people something to aim for and gets them out. And well done to all the ladies who took part in it today. It's absolutely fantastic.
Before we get into this week's episode, we got a message there during the week. Terry Broderick, he says his dad passed away in January, and he's starting the first of 5 Ironmans 70.3s back to back, raising money for Irish Cancer Society, the Mercy Hospital, and Marymount Hospitals as well. That looked after his dad near the end there. So he's raised over 13,000, nearly 13,000 euros so far, probably over 13,000 by the time this comes in. So he's listening to the podcast. So shout out to Terry. You're starting that on the 2nd of June. That's what, Tuesday? 5 straight days, 70.3. Fuck that.
Yeah, that isn't
unbelievable what people do.
That isn't an easy undertaking, and fair play and well done on raising for what is such a great cause, and those in hospices and those who have family in there appreciate the work that happens there, and it's not an easy time for anyone, but they do a fantastic job. So well done on the fundraising, and best of luck. It's going to be a very interesting journey for you in every way, and we wish you all the best.
Now, you touched on it earlier, today's episode, into the trail running once again, into skyrunning and up mountains and world championships and putting the green bib and everything else that goes with it in this week's episode.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one after me shitting all over trail running there for the first bit. But it's one that definitely speaks volumes for anyone who has taken on any element of trail running. It's been it was a great episode. Some insight into stuff I never even knew existed in terms of races that are happening around the world, and it's absolutely fantastic. A great episode, great guy, and a really good listen, and another option for people out there looking to take up something new.
And with that said, it's straight into this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. Let's go. Our next guest on the Any Given Run Day podcast went from rugby up into his mid-30s to the world of ultra running, wearing the green bib multiple times, including at the World Masters Skyrunning Championship last October. He also the author of the book Stop, Breathe and Read. David Kelleher, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Sean, thank you very much for that introduction. That's brilliant. When I hear you say that, I'm like, imposter syndrome straight away. I'm like, you're talking about someone else.
David, it's a phenomenal intro, but there's obviously a lot of story, and from what I get from the intro, running definitely wasn't a factor. Rugby players don't tend to like running actually as a standard. Where did you like running as a in the younger years? Was rugby always your sport, or was there anything else in between?
Yeah, so I'd always done a bit of running, right? Just out and about to clear my head, that type of stuff, like, more so. And then like rugby was, I kind of just played on and off throughout my 20s. Nothing like any of the big clubs in Dublin. Like I played for Wexford, which at the time they're much better now, but at the time they weren't great. I played with them, and uh, yeah, with the rugby, I was mad keen into it. I played in the wing, and then I was getting a little bit older. I was kind of hitting 32, 33, and I tried to put on a bit of weight, a bit of muscle, to get myself into the wing. Sorry, into the forwards in the back line, and I just got pummeled, and that finished rugby for me. Yeah, yes. uh, yeah, I got two concussions in one consecutive season, and then I was right. I'm gone. I was getting smashed. But your question was about running. So for me, like what I missed immediately about the rugby was the kind of the intensity of it. You kind of go into your normal life, and you're working working a corporate job. You're going in, you're punching numbers, doing emails, and for me, there was always something kind of fascinating with you're doing that, and then on Saturday you're getting geared up. You're putting on your tape in your hands, that type of stuff, and you're going onto a field and you're playing a physical sport. And there's an intensity to it, and I loved that. That's what really drove me to rugby. So when I lost that, that's where this kind of spiral came out into running. Like I wanted to get a little bit more intense with running, and that's what happens to me. That's how I got into it.
Right, Eric, let me ask you this one thing. What is your number one recovery tip before a long run?
Besides not stretching, I always cheat and reach for ultra pure wintergreen heat rub cream.
Oh yeah, that's actually really good. It's perfect for tight muscles before you hit the road. All you have to do is just massage into your calves, your hamstrings, even your shoulders, and you'll feel that heat kick in straight away.
By the way your body is, Sean, you're definitely buying this stuff in litres. But it delivers fast-acting, non-greasy, targeted warmth right where you need it most. And it's not just about the heat, Sean. It combines wintergreen, rosemary oil, juniper berry, and caffeine powder.
So when you're feeling tight, aching, or just ready for your next run, Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is a must-have addition to your warm-up routine.
Trust us, your legs will thank you, and it's easy to carry in your sports bag.
Elevate your everyday with Ultra Pure.
Shop online now at ultrapurelabs.ie or find it in your local pharmacy or health store. By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. Let's get back to the episode. A lot of people, David, struggle with the transition from team sports, and obviously you've said up to 32 you were even trying to put on weight, which would be a gym routine. It would be taking on calories. It would be obviously the calorie element matches the running, but the philosophy of strength, power, and not being a sprinter, the long distance being quite different. How did you find that general transition into it? Was it a difficult one? Did you have much guidance, and that dressing room element is a big part of why we do what we do. If you don't want to go training, everyone else is going to be there. How did you find that transition into then, I suppose, solo training?
Yeah, so like with the rugby, right, I loved the team element of it, and actually we might come into it a bit later on, but I loved it so much that I'm 42 today, and I'm still doing Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, which is a real community sport. Like I know a couple of your previous interviewees are big into it. I know Niamh Fitzpatrick, for example, is a purple belt. But that team element I missed as well. So I found myself back trying to find a kind of a team orientated sport, and jiu-jitsu is the closest I got to it. But for me, rugby was always I'm going out there and I'm competing against how I played last week. How did I perform last week or the week before? It was never really me and the team versus someone else. Like, it was certainly a team player, but I was hard on myself, I would say. Like, if we went out and I played crap, like I'd go back and alter the way I play. I try and think about how I can better myself, and I took it quite personally. And so it was easy for me to transition from, like, as in a way, I felt like a bit of a lone wolf in when I was playing rugby, and that like I was part of the team, and no one player is going to change a game in rugby, right, in amateur level at all. So, but I did really see my own structure of how I got onto the field has been very um it was impersonal and intense to me, and like, yeah, it's very much so in the head as well. I needed to kind of have a discipline in my own mind, just have a little bit of structure, because if I don't have it, things get a little bit uh, harder. So, but yeah, hopefully that answered that.
From the rugby then to 2 concussions, which, and I've heard if you get like 3 or something, it's like, especially in 12 months, and that used to be the thing before a lot more came out on it. It was to rule it out by any concussion, and on this day and age we know a lot more about it. It's probably time to move on, but into ultra running. You went. I know you did your first marathon. Talk to us a little bit about that first marathon you did down in Waterford, to go from there into.
I think he's still suffering from the concussion.
Well, that's what I was implying there. How'd you go straight into ultra running from rugby and, probably covering 7, 8, 10K a game to, you know what, I'm going to go up the mountains and start running from there. I know your first marathon was it Waterford?
Waterford, yeah, that's right, yeah. So, and Eric, as you said, yeah, I think I'm still suffering from concussions, and that's why I'm into this type of stuff. But yeah, it's yeah, like I can get intense, in myself, and that ultra thing, it was like the first one, as you were saying, Sean, was Waterford. It was the Waterford Marathon, and I don't know if you have either of you ever done the Waterford one, the biking?
No, not Waterford. No.
Is this the one that involves the Greenway? Or am I
Yeah.
confusing this with a different?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's the Greenway one, right? So you start off in Waterford City, and it's kind of a city run there, but then it goes down into the Greenway in Waterford, so it kind of becomes a little bit of a trail run. So it's and it's a little bit hilly, a little bit of elevation. So I did that, I did it in, like, I think it was like 4 hours 20 minutes or something like that, and so the time wasn't fantastic, and I'm not a fantastic time person anyway. But it did that, and when I finished it, like, to be honest, I love the sense of accomplishment, and it was straight after finishing rugby as well. So I kind of gave myself like an 8 or 10 week window, and I trained quite intensively for 8 to 10 weeks, and then I did that. And my parents were my dad. I was fortunate enough that my dad was down there on the finish line, and my 2 kids were there, and I was like, brilliant. So, this is going to be my focus from now. But really, what I took away from that was, like, I loved the intensity of it. Wasn't mad keen on the roads, so I was like, right, what else can I do? Like, how can I get into running that doesn't involve me running on the side of the road? And then, like, I googled it and I found IMRA. So I started looking at IMRA events. Did a couple of those. Absolutely loved it. I went, like, I went up to, there's a mountain here in Wexford called Ford Mountain. It's not an incredibly big mountain or anything like that. Like, Mount Leinster is a big one, right? But there's one in Wexford Town, just outside Wexford Town, called Ford Mountain, and it's an amazing trail run. Like, it's actually unbelievable. On days like today, the scenes are insane. Like, you go out there, you put I drive up there and put my running vest on, put the earphones on, and just run the trails. Like, you're the only person there. It's the scenery's beautiful. Like, you're amongst the trees, rocky terrain. It's such a cool way to spend an hour a day. So that's, maybe I'm digressing, but that's where the kind of marathon challenge, which I thought I'd be doing once, like, you do the marathon, you throw your boots out and you're done, and you do something else, like get into golf or something. So,
Yeah. Don't waste a long walk. But David, when you were looking at, like, and again, we breezed over, that was your first marathon. There was 10 weeks training you did in the build up to it, or had you done a bit more prep, or had a solid base?
My base was good going into it, to be honest, like, because like with the rugby, just before that, I kind of left more or less just before that in the rugby, and I knew it was going to be my last year as well in rugby, so I took my training quite seriously. And I did put on a bit of muscle, but I was also big into cardio as well. So I wasn't going from nothing. Like, I was going out and doing 5 or 10 Ks casually on the beach down in Rossair, and it became like, it was 10K, and then let's say I can get to 20K, and then that's really when I said, oh, what does a marathon look like? So my base level would have been 20K anyway, going into that 10-week stretch. But like, I was blind as well. I went into it knowing nothing really. My nutrition was all over the place. I don't even think I brought anything with me. I bought a little carton of. I actually when I looked back at my Instagram there just before this to see what's interesting about me that I could talk about. But I saw that when I was there, I had this little water canister, and I was like, that's all I had for the whole marathon. So I didn't know my arse from my elbow on it, but I did it. So
We're all like that for that first marathon.
Yeah, the first one's always a disaster. And I suppose, but that feeling of finishing, people always say in the first couple of days afterwards, and that's probably where we moved on to Imran, the first couple of days afterwards, it's always never again. Never again am I taking on a marathon. But was it the element of, and I do understand, because when you do some of these city marathons and roads, you're like, when is this road going to end? Or, even in the Cork marathon that's happening this weekend as we record, like, there's a straight there that's about 6 to 8 kilometers long, and you can't see the bottom of it. You're just like, oh,
through
this is
the tunnel.
Yeah, through the tunnel is one, and then towards the end is I think it's from 32K onwards till 38K or thereabouts. So people might correct me on that one, but it's the longest road I've ever been on, and the straightest one as well. But I understand that when you go to the trails, because you're so focused on foot placement, you're focused on what's around me, up, down, and different. Is that what makes it more attractive? Because we've had guests who've been somewhat of a hybrid. They actually come winter time, I actually prefer going to the track. I prefer going onto the roads and working on a bit of speed work. And then when springtime comes, it's all about the trails. Or is it for you that, do you know what, never give me a road ever again? I fell in love once I met the Imra groups. I never want to go back.
Yeah, so I've only done 2 road marathons, and the other one I did, and I think, Sean, I saw you done it this year as well. I did the Barcelona one. It's the only other marathon that I've done, and the only reason I did it was because my twin brother, it was his first marathon he wanted to train for. So I was like, oh, brilliant! I'll definitely do with my brother Greg, because like, it's a little bit of a long story, and I won't bore you, but my brother came over to Bulgaria with me for the Skyrunning championships, and he kind of just came over just to see what Bulgaria was about. And when we were over there, he's like, oh, hang on, like, everyone that's here isn't as maybe as intense about this as David is. So he's like, there's some cool dudes there that we met. So it inspired him to get into it, and so he put in the calendar, going to do the Barcelona Marathon, so I was like, brilliant, I'll do it with you, and he has one now in the calendar again for next year. So I don't, sorry, to go back to your question, Eric, I don't love the road marathons. I much prefer the getting onto the trail, stepping your foot into the abyss of a trail, and just being on your own, being left for your thoughts. Just trying to structure out my day when I'm running. Like, I'm much more about that, and just enjoying the feeling of it. The kind of, you get the positive endorphins, feeling the sun on your face. Like, that's, I'm so much more of I'm so much more about the sensation of running in the trails than beating myself up in the roads. Like, I see them as 2 totally different things. I see them as nearly different sports. I don't really see a similarity between the two of them, because the sensations are so different on the 2 of them. And I think, Sean, you could probably agree, like, the Barcelona Marathon was insane. I think there was 35,000 people, spectators, and it was carnage. There was people running around across the street every 2 seconds, and it felt more like I didn't feel the intense joy in it that I would if I'm running the trails, if I'm honest. It was lovely. And my knee wasn't the better for it either, because it was like, pretty much tarmac the whole run. And then we were on the seafront, there's a bit of stone there as well, so there was no respite in your joints. But yeah, so the whole experience of trail running for me is something completely different to what I would see a marathon to be. The marathon is the grind, whereas trail running is an experience. But yeah, so unless I was doing it with a family member, you wouldn't see me doing a road marathon again. So,
Hydration is key to fueling endurance performance.
Perform Nutrition's Electrolytes Plus sachets have been specifically designed to fill the need for advanced hydration for athletes.
With 1,000 milligrams sodium, all essential electrolytes, and 2,500 milligram performance blend made up of glutamine, taurine, and coconut water powder, one sachet will replenish and revitalize your hydration.
Using natural flavors, natural colors, no added sugar, and no added fillers, each sachet has a sweet and lightly salted fruity flavor and comes in either mixed berry or citrus.
Informed, sport tested, and trusted by Olympians such as Kate O'Connor, world champion boxer Aoife O'Rourke, and pro triathlete Nikki Bartlett, and many more elite athletes.
Trust Perform to fuel your excellence, and by listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish businesses and this podcast. Now let's get back to the episode. A lot of people will be signed up, and as you mentioned, the crowds, 35,000 people running in front of you. Dublin is known as a friendly marathon. Cork, people come out with their hoses and hose you down as you're running around, and there's a real community element to it. On the trail, you don't have that though. It's you and a couple of other trail runners. Is it the meditative side as well that brings a lot to you? And as you've said, and you've alluded to a few times, you sort out your day, you think about things, you just have your earphones in. Because a lot of people are drawn to the crowd, the buzz, the thrill, the noise. You don't get that on the trail.
no, 100% you don't. And like what the road, the buzz of the crowd for me kind of felt a little bit unusual, right? It made me want to go that little bit faster and kind of nearly appease the crowd in a way, because they're gearing you on. They don't want you to stop or slow down. So like I felt that a bit, but that the sensation of doing that is so different to trail running. For me, I'm all about being self-sufficient, right? I love the idea of planning my day and having control of it myself. I'm a little bit of a stoic. I don't want to go too far off track, right? So, but I'm really keen on the philosophy of stoicism, and it's all about being responsible for yourself, accountable for yourself, and having discipline, that type of stuff. And I find all that in trail running, which I didn't necessarily find in marathons, if I'm honest. I felt marathon was more about the exposure to everyone, the exposure to people, and a little bit of people pleasing kind of felt like it came in there as well for me personally. I just found it a little bit disingenuous. Whereas I found going into the trails and running in events and trail running is just a more so an opportunity to see the accomplishment yourself, But it isn't, for me, trail running isn't doing the eco trail or doing the altar or anything like that. For me, it is just parking the car up, putting the vest on, putting the water in there, getting a bit of, one or two gels or Haribos to put on my headphones and just sorting out my day, because like everyone's life is incredibly stressful now. And I think it's just such a brilliant way to get back to nature, get back to yourself. Like the creative juices start flowing as well, and you start looking outside the bubble of your life and start creating. I'm always a better first. Always feel more positive. Having done the trails, they're two completely different things, in my opinion.
So much so that doing these trail runs, you came up and wrote a book through it.
Yeah, that's right.
It must have been a long trail, David.
Yeah. So that's it. So like the trails is all about creativity for me, right? And you guys have experience yourself in trail running, right? So you go in there and my professional job can be quite stressful sometimes, and conflicts kind of you deal with a bit of conflicts and stuff like that. Everyone does, right? A bit of personal and professional. So I found at the start, I went in there, put on my headphones, and I was trying to really have that stoic kind of mindset where, I had a conversation with someone today and it upset me. Like, how do I ensure that doesn't happen again? Or if it does, how do I manage it better? Like, what tools can I find in myself to help myself manage those conversations better, and trying to bring it home to my family and my kids? Like, so that's initially what the trail running did for me. It just gave me a body of toolkits to manage conversations with people. But it quickly then became oh, hang on, like that's all on the surface. Like, let's create a bit of music around it. So, like I started going on the trails and focusing on one particular shit feeling that I had. Like that day, like, you may say something to me and it mightn't bother me, but the next day you could say it to me and it kind of, it upsets me a tiny bit. And I just really dug into that. Like I'm not at all into therapy or anything. Sorry, I'm not a therapist or anything like that at all. Like this is just my way of processing things. Um, but what I did was I kind of focused on that feeling and I really wanted to dissect it and step back from it and kind of macro it. And it was just thoughts. It was a book of thoughts actually that, I thought needed a little bit of music in them. And that was the rhythm. And that's why, the book became a book of poetry, because it's just a thought. It's really digging into a thought uh, and just trying to get it to resolve in a couple of paragraphs. So it's a book of thoughts, effectively. But yeah, sometimes the trail running can get a bit intense, and that's, Eric, as you said earlier, that's the meditative kind of state. Like you just get out of your day, and you're in this other world. It's pretty cool. So,
Myself and Sean between us would barely be able to make a colouring book out of our thoughts now. Be just about good enough for a kid colouring competition.
yeah.
David, when you take on the trails, obviously there's the feedback loop in terms of getting better, getting enjoyment, because not every run is enjoyable, and we'd be lying here if we were saying we're influencing that every time you leave the house is a fantastic experience, because there's going to be wet days, there's going to be miserable days, and no different to a conversation between two people. Someday a run can upset you, someday you're not feeling up for it, someday you're feeling off pace. What was the kind of progressive element for you with IMRA? Because obviously Sean has given you that intro and we'll touch on to some of them as we come, but when people start running, you're progressing really, really well, and you start to set targets for yourself. At what point did you start to go, okay, there's a couple of targets here, and how do you process then, talking about the meditative side of it, how do you process the bad runs? How do you get out there when you don't feel like it?
Yeah, like consistency for me is really important. Like and like it, for me, it becomes just part of my day. Like so, for example, like I'll always have to go to the gym, like, or I'll always have to go for a swim in the sea. Like it's just about, like, for me, it's just getting into an uncomfortable situation early. I enjoy being in uncomfortable situations. Because, like, I feel as if I learn a lot myself personally when I put myself in a position where I'm uncomfortable in it, and I actively look for that, and it makes me feel alive. Um, when I do stuff like that. In terms of IMRA, like when I done the Waterford biking marathon, I just wanted to, I was more interested in just going out and 4 men and going for a run. But at the same time, I was like, well, like there is a little bit of competitive edge in me as well. Like I do want to know how I'm going to face against the average person. So there was one or two events that I went into in IMRA way back when, and I was terrible in it compared to, there were some serious lads in those events, with serious times. So, I'm very much so a spectator, and in all of these people, like they're all animals to me. But yeah, like it's just interesting to see that there's a group community of people out there creating these type of things. And in IMRA, I think a lot of people are in the same boat, where they're all about going out and just breaking away from the compliance of life and getting into this kind of crazy world where, like, you have to, like, the Cumber Mountains, go down to the Cumber Mountains, like, and running up them and pissing rain and the weather's crap. Like, there's the horrible, even though it's so horrible, you feel so alive when you're doing it. And that's the spark that I have in trail running and mountain running. It makes me feel alive, and it's kind of an FU to the compliant world responsibilities that I feel I have, So,
It was one of those things, David, where I was struggling until you said that, because you talked earlier about the intensity of rugby, and then you went into the scenery and stuff like that of an IMRA race and everything else, and that goes with it. I'm like, how is the intensity of about to smash into someone in rugby correlate to that? But when you're looking at these races, do you look at, like, to sign up for something, what is the most intense race that's going to be elevation, like whatever, that's going to do you look for the suffering in the races? Not to put you as a status or anything like that, like, but is that what your appeal to a race, or do you look more like, for example, to the Eco Trail? And I know it has the sugar loaf and stuff like that, but the scenery is unreal. And I know it starts very steep going up the Bray, the cliff head, and all the rest. But what do you look for in a race?
It's a little bit of both. So like I'm interested in doing difficult things, putting myself under pressure, and pushing myself, like with the ultras, like when you know that you've nothing left in the tank, like you always know I would always feel there's nothing left in the tank, but you just keep going, and you keep surprising yourself, like the Eco Trail is a really good one as well. Like when you were like actually, when you say these other people, like, again, a little bit of imposter syndrome here from me, right? Because I remember doing the Eco Trail, and Sean Meehan, who I had a brief conversation with only recently on the Skyrunning forum, like he powered past me, an absolute animal.
Power past
Sean
all
is.
of us. Don't worry
And I
about
told
it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's the intensity is this, like I'm always surprised at how much more I can push myself, And in a weird way, you kind of like, there is that kind of, how do I push myself to the absolute limits and just not think about anything else, just think about the limit. But then when you get to the limit, you're like, oh, that wasn't my limit. And it just keeps going. So I have to manage myself a tiny bit of that. So
There's one bit there, David, on the limit element, and you said on your first marathon didn't really prepare. Probably met a wall, because nutrition probably wasn't on point on that point, and but a lot of people who never meet it kind of fear it if they never have. People who actually do the right things, unlike most of what me and Sean take on, they do everything right, they prepare right. They actually never really understand what that limit is, and possibly carry that fear of reaching it. Like I've even said to some people in a 5K, like, go blow up, like see where that line is, feel what that line is, and then adjust from there. When it comes to trail running, though, can you do that? When it comes to ultras, it's a very different limit, and managing that is far more complex than you're saying it is. Or have you learned hard lessons along the way?
Yeah, no, I absolutely have. Like when I go back to the Eco Trail, the first year I did the Eco Trail, there was a yellow weather warning the day before, so we were going into it as going to be, at the time, it keeps moving between 48 and 46k, but the first year I did it was 48k, and there was a yellow weather warning the day before. It was really windy, really wet, and I did the run, and about 30k into it, I had this real feeling of anxiety, and real feeling of desperation and panic in it. I felt I was too far in to go back, and I didn't feel that I could get to the finish line because there was still another 18k, and it was such a helpless feeling, and in a weird, peculiar way, it felt to me a little bit exhilarating as well. It felt, that this is what pushing it to the limit is all about. This feeling of it's like spiraling out of control, and then gathering yourself and getting back into it, and just getting into the technicalities of it, and kind of saying, put one foot in front of the other. Like, maybe I should eat a little bit more. Like, at my first Eco Trail, I didn't really have a clue about nutrition either, to be honest. And I changed so much more since that. Like, I was eating gels. Like, I don't touch gels now at all anymore. I'd eat bars and stuff like that now. The gel for me was a little bit of a placebo thing more than anything else. It just didn't work for me. But I like, in the moment, I hated that feeling. Of just feeling so powerless and panicked, and like a lost child that needed help. And that feeling in the moment was horrible. But to move on from it, I found myself at the finish line wanting to find that feeling again. So, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
That was an absolutely miserable Eco Trail. I did it the year before, and the sun was out all day, and it was absolutely brilliant. And I remember seeing a few races stand out that I didn't do, but I do remember seeing people's videos and the pictures and stuff on Instagram the following year, going, As much as I enjoyed doing it, I was so thankful I wasn't out in it that year because it looked so miserable. But when you're in it and you're going through it, it is different. Like you see it online, you're like, no, I'd never do that. But like we all have that long run before a marathon where we're in the rain, and like when you get through, you're like, that was deadly. But if it starts raining like mad the next week and you're inside, you're going, maybe not. But the bottle that feeling at the time and the sense of overcoming something is class.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant.
Can I ask on this before we move on to the green bibs and stuff like that? Because I saw one or two pictures of you doing the Eco Trail that year and the following year, and I've seen your Instagram, your profile pic. You've got the green bib on, and I've seen the finish line pic of you at Barcelona, and they all look class. The glasses look different in each one, David. They look a Gucci pair of glasses you got on for these running glasses. What's the story? Yeah.
I think with the running, right, there's only a few luxuries you can have, right? When you're out there in the trails, right? It's the runners is one thing. So I tried with the kind of flashy, cool runners. Didn't really suit me. Like in the Barcelona one, I actually have the Nova Blasts on there, but they're just pure black because it just, for me, it's like it was just about comfort in the end. But with the sunglasses, you can have a bit of character. You can what's the newest pair of Oakleys? What's the weirdest style of Oakleys? That type of stuff. Like I have about 8 pairs of Oakleys. I absolutely love them. And yeah, like each, like for me, like it kind of each pair of the sunglasses represents a different kind of period of my trail running experience. You know what I mean? Like, so like my very first Oakleys that I bought were the standard, that, what are they called, the jawbreakers, I think they're called, and they were my first ones. I went all out on those ones. Like there's they were quite expensive, and I went out in them, and it turned like they were the premium. But then after that, I kind of just went for different sunglasses, and like they each tell a different story to me. They're like a medal in a weird way. I see them as kind of little medals. Yeah, so thanks for noticing that.
If you were to tot up all the races we've joined for medals and the price we spent, we probably have about 40 pairs of Oakleys between us now.
Yeah.
It's one of those as well, like it's what it means to you, and people have medal racks. I've seen actually people, do you know what I actually hate about this podcast? Because I've done a lot now, and I think I didn't have any sentiment at all when we started the journey, and people are like, I've kept every t-shirt from every race and I have them hanging up here. I have all my medals here. I've got 20 pairs of Oakleys to represent each era of my run, and I'm like, all I have is this Any Given Run Day t-shirt. That's about all I have now at the end of all this.
You have a few different variations that Any Given Run Day t-shirt, in fairness, Eric.
A few different variations, different eras, yeah. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to keep them, the AGR collection. But we'll see. David, when you take on these races and you've done a few, and Sean has mentioned, and he probably has a leading question as to where, but I'm curious as how you go from 18K questioning life, lost child to green bib, because that seems like a major jump in trajectory, but there's, as you have alluded to, a competitive edge in you. Tell us about how this journey moves into the next Oakley era.
Yeah, so the first one was the first time was in the Masters Med Running Championships in 2022 in Clonmel. It was down in the Cumber Mountains, but I'd actually I planned to. I didn't actually plan to in the Cumber Mountains. I planned to do the year before. I can't remember where it's been held the year before. My plan was to go to France and to wear the green bib in the World's Men Running Championships. The year before it was in Ireland. The name escapes me. Or was it Italy? I didn't go in the end anyway for whatever reason. And I was like, that's that opportunity gone. And then it came up to World Med Running Championships in Clonmel, and I was like, Jesus, it's only an hour down the road. How do you register for it? What do you have to do? So I contacted IMRA on it, and you needed an IMRA number, you needed to have mental running experience, and you needed to be the representative age to get into your category. That was the acceptance criteria for that. So I was in, straight away. And when I went into it, I thought it was really cool, right? Because I was standing at the starting line with people that I had seen on social media. you know, for example, like a guy, Andrew Douglas, represents Great Britain. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but I was chatting to him in starting line, and he won in our age category, 35 to 39. But I was chatting away to him, and then he absolutely destroyed me. Like at the very start of the race, it was a little bit of an incline and then straight into the mountains. But he won the event. And for me, I just thought it was bizarre how I found myself down there, and it was like I honestly thought it was just a one-off thing. I was like, right, grand, and I'm done with that experience. It was brutal. It was like I don't know if any of you are familiar with that particular run, but it was only 10k, but it was 10k like this up the side of the mountain. It was brutal. Um, but and I didn't fare out very well in it either, if I'm honest. I think in my age category, I was on the bottom half of the finishers. So that was that, and I put it to bed kind of nearly after that. But then, of course, how I ran, like the experiences I gained from that, I then brought that into my running. So I got more interested in the inclines. So I started going up to Bray Head. It's Bray Seafront to Bray Head. Going up and running on that. Sean, you were saying the Eco Trail. So just the first, whatever, what is it from Bray to Bray Head? And I think it's the first 4k, isn't it? From Bray Seafront
Oh, if
to Bray Head.
even.
So
But I bet that this, but it's so deep.
it's so steep, yeah. Yeah, I was serious. And then I got into the habit of doing hill repeats on it, Sean. So I'd start in Bray at the end and go up to the cross, go back down, go back up, go to the cross, and got in the habit of doing that. And in a weird way, very peculiar way,
Running.
got addicted to that. So
Because when I did the Eco Trail, this is my now. I was there years ago. I used to work in a gym near there, but like I did the 80k Eco Trail that year. But like we ran across the seafront, and this is my first experience doing a long ultra. It could have been my first ultra, but I think it was my first ultra. But I remember getting to the start of it, and then like now, not all of us, but half was the back end, and I am at the back end. Started walking. I'm like, oh, this is what an ultra run is about, because it was steep as hell. Like, if I run this, that's the end of my race. I'm getting on top of it. I'm waving to the sky and hoping air comes along, a helicopter pick me up, because I'm going nowhere else if I sprint that thing. But it's proper steep. Like to go up and down that and have a graph for that, to me is, well, the concussion really explains it.
Yeah, the concussions making so much more sense.
I do when I was doing it, like going up and down, like you'd see people kind of walking it up, and then they'll see you going up for like your third attempt running up it, and when you're on the way back down, that like they had stopped me, they'd stop you a couple times, going like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? So they think you're mental, like. But so with the Skyrunning Championships, I don't know. Apologies if I'm jumping ahead. But last October, I represented Ireland in the World's Master Skyrunning Championships, and how I got into that was resume. So there was on the International Skyrunning Federation, or the Irish Skyrunning Federation. I followed them on Instagram, and I had and that's where I was looking at the likes of Sean Meehan, Nee Fitzpatrick, Ian Conroy, all those animals who were far better runners than I am. And I was looking at them, and then there was I'd seen there was an open application for the opportunity to represent Ireland in the World Skyrunning Championships, and it was resume based. So you went on to the Irish Skyrunning Ireland. You put in your running experience, like the type of ultras that you'd done in your times, that type of stuff. And then, lo and behold, the Skyrunning Ireland came back and said, great, let's do it. So I found myself meeting Ian Conroy, and he's I want to get this right. If he does hear it, I think he's 3-time world mountain running championship, 3-time world.
Your Instagram had a 5. Just your previous Instagram post had a 5, David. That's what I have down on my notes, just in case.
Damn. Yeah, so yeah, he's 5. Ian is one of these mythical characters in my mind. Like like the two of us did a couple of training drills from Bray to Brayhead, and I was like, I'm on my home turf here as far as I was concerned, because I'd experience here where Ian didn't. And the two of us did hill repeats. We did, 6 or 7 hill repeats to try and get that level of elevation that you need in the vertical kilometer. We needed to try and get that volume of elevation before the run, and he destroyed me. Like he's a pure beast. Is how I describe him.
For anyone that doesn't know, I flew over it today looking at a few things in Brayhead, but I think it's 784 feet or something from over. I think it's not even a kilometer, really, isn't it? From sea level all the way up to the top of it. It's quite a steep climb. It looks great and doable from the air, but it's not easy. And you're obviously talking about when a race is called Skyrunning, there's obviously a big expectation of elevation. What was the race? Where did you go? And again, we question concussion.
So for that, it was so the Skyrunning, the World Skyrunning Championships were held in Bulgaria last October, in a place called Karlovo in the Balkan Mountains. And to say it was an adventure is an understatement. Such a cool experience. Like I said, my twin brother came with us because he wanted to experience Bulgaria. So myself, Ian, and my twin brother found ourselves in Sofia, Bulgaria, then getting a train for 2.5 hours. Maybe it was 2 hours, but straight into the Balkan Mountains, like, and really like Iron Curtain type stuff. Real kind of old Russian kind of vibe to the place.
The Soviet style. Yeah.
Yeah, like, so like they didn't speak English. Just such a cool experience. Like, it's not somewhere I would bring my kids and say, let's enjoy this holiday. And not because there was any danger there or anything like that, but it was just very grey and very kind of cold. And but yeah, we found ourselves in Karlovo, and the Skyrunning Ireland, or the Skyrunning Federation, had arranged accommodation for us when we got there. I'm a man who likes my luxuries, though. However, so I looked around to see what was the nicest hotel in Karlovo, which is a very small town, and there was one hotel that was nice. So I booked myself into that. Ian, to be fair, roughed it up in the accommodation that was given to us. But I didn't. I found myself in the
can't be
hotel,
roughing up in Oakley's.
Yeah, no. But yeah, like the buzz there was just insane as well. Like, you had over, I think it was over 30 different countries representing, and everyone had their gear and everyone looked brilliant. I was going to wear my Skyrunning Ireland hoodie to this, but it's roasting hot outside. It's very heavy, the hoodie. But yeah, everyone was geared up. Really positive atmosphere. We all kind of went out to dinner the night before, and got an opportunity to go around and explore Karlovo, and yeah, it was really, really cool energy. Like, and such bizarre people do that type of sport. I unknowingly include myself in it, but the types of people are just bizarre. They're every walk of life. They're as myself and Greg kind of went out of our way to chat to the English, all the English speaking countries, and the Bulgarians that spoke English, just to see what their characters were, because like skyrunning isn't massive in Ireland. I'm in the Skyrunning Ireland WhatsApp group, and there's about 30 of us in total in it, so it's not big in Ireland, but in other countries it's massive. Like in Brazil, it's huge. Japan is huge. The likes of Croatia, like all those kind of East Middle European countries, skyrunning is a huge sport. So it was really cool meeting those type of people, and they're all bizarre. Like, you could be talking to one guy, and he's a doctor, and like he's a surgeon, or and then you could be talking to the next person, and they're a recovering addict, and everyone's like just such an incredibly diverse group of people, but everyone positive, everyone challenging themselves, and everyone looking for adventure, and that's what was really cool about it. Like the run itself.
Before you get into run itself, that's my follow on, is what is the run itself, but what is sky running? What is it? like Ironman is for full distance triathlon? Is it a brand of mountain running? What is skyrunning in its essence?
Yeah, so so skyrunning, the vertical kilometer is one particular type of skyrun, right? So there's skyrunning ultras, um there's a whole there's a whole variation of skyrunning, but the one I was focused on was the vertical kilometer. So it's you're running 1,000 meters of elevation in less than 5K. And it can be up to over 2,000 meters in elevation. So this particular run ended me like the end of the race was at 1,700 meters in elevation. So
Wow.
it's high. So that's what this particular run was. And it's funny because when when you get to the base of the run, we're looking up at it, right? Um, and to get into this particular run itself, the night before we were at a town hall meeting in Carlovo. It was really well organised. As you can imagine, the Skyrunning Federation organised it. And there was a weather warning the night before in the Balkan Mountains, which is always lovely to hear. It was snowing quite bad, and there was rain, and it was freezing at certain parts of the mountains. So they were concerned about it, and they'd said something like there would be no opportunity for a helicopter rescue because the helicopter wouldn't be able to fly in those conditions the day that the run. So my twin brother was there going, "This is mental. Like, you're not doing this. This is insane." So we found ourselves the next day up the run. I made friends with a guy who was representing Great Britain the night before, and he was kind enough to give myself and Ian a lift and my brother a lift up to the start of the race because there was no public transport. You had to find your own way up there. So we got up there, and yeah, so we were at 700 meters in elevation at the starting line. So we were up high at the very start, and we had to get to 1,700 meters. So we had that 1,000 meter elevation gain to do in 4.8 kilometers. So the incline was in around 22% incline the whole way up. And it was raining, freezing, and we were dogs on a mountain. That's the only way to describe it.
You found your suffering.
It's what Oakley did you have on that day?
I did not wear Oakley. I tell you now, I did not wear Oakleys on that. Like, you have this, like in other runs, you can afford to have this romantic view of what you might look like at the finish line when you get that perfect photo, whatever. Like on that run, like what I talked about earlier about that eco trail kind of feeling of feeling terrified and scared and pushing yourself. Like in that type of run, you have that the whole way through it. It's terrified, scared, like it's silly. Like when you get fatigued quite quickly in it as well, and I know from training for it, you can get lost in it very quickly. You can say to yourself, "What the fuck am I doing here? This is stupid." So
Yeah.
when you're going up through it, it's just about getting it done. Like nothing matters. Like, in those type of runs, respectively, it doesn't matter what you're wearing at all. So,
David, how do you pace yourself for something like this, or do you do you treat it as a sprint, or do you treat it as like I just can't imagine the elevation. Like, for example, if you're doing a marathon, there'll be like I've done a few weeks when I do ultra marathons and I see a big hill. That's my stage to walk. I know people are going to pass me out walking, and then I might catch them in the flat, and then downhill I'm also walking because I'm no good going downhill, which is why I hadn't done many of them recently. But if you've got all that elevation to climb in such a short amount of time, like if you can't walk it because you're going to be dead last. But at the same time, you can't go flat out the start because you said there you fatigue. How do you approach that race?
yeah. So, it's there was the idea is that you don't get it. Like from my experiences, that you don't get into this walking state because, as you said, like you'll particularly in that type of event, like you'll find yourself last very quickly, and ironically as well. The longer it takes you to finish it, the more fatiguing it's going to be. It's incredibly difficult to do. 5K. It's incredibly to do 5K with 1,000 meters of elevation in cold weather when it's raining and stuff like that. But if you're doing it walking, it's going to take double the time, so it's 10 times worse. So in a weird in my own weird, peculiar way, I saw it that I was pulling myself up to the top of the mountain. That's the way that's my mentality towards it. So I was pulling my way up the whole time, and that's keeping the arms moving, like swinging the arms. Like, unfortunately, I've got upper body strength, so I was pushing my arm, and the calves as well. Like, you need to put some serious pressure on your calves. Like, I found personally the stairmaster in the gym. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but the stairmaster,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I would training for that when I wasn't on Bray Head. I was on the stairmaster and I was doing an hour, but every go and getting that little bit of a jog going, keeping the jog consistent for the hour. Like, ChatGPT was a brilliant personal training record as well for me. Like, I'd say I went onto the stairmaster, I did it for an hour at a speed of 13 whatever, and then I just manage it, and I could tell pretty much going into that race what I was going to finish on, and I wasn't too far off it. Like, the weather did not help, but I wasn't too far off what I thought I'd finish it in.
David, there are coaches that are fearful of what you just said about ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just to clarify, as a tracking tool, not a give me a training plan to run a kilometer vertical, please, and I want to do it next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I just ask, before we ask, what's next or future races, you just talked about there about getting into the gym and doing a Stairmaster for an hour. You've talked about doing BJJ. Obviously, the running, you need to do a lot of hill sprints. You probably have a long run. I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong there. You need to get a long run in there as well. You talked about open water swimming as well. You talked about your job being stressful. You probably see where I'm going with this. You talked about having 2 kids. David, is sleep not a thing for you? Do you have a thing where you can't sleep? Or like how do you...
You
time
haven't slept since the concussion, Sean. You're not listening. You can't let go
Sorry,
of a
maybe that's the
concussion go to
question there.
sleep.
How are you fitting this time, man? You wrote a book during all this as well, and your thoughts in the running. Like, but how you like time management, Dave? How's all this a thing? Because it's something I'm struggling recently with, and it's going to get a hell of a lot worse in a couple of months. So, like, how are you doing all this?
Yeah, so time management, like use of time more so than time management for me, right? Like, I'm really into, and I don't want to bore you with my philosophies or anything like that, because it's not the platform for it. But I'm really into the idea of stoicism and the whole concept of memento mori, which is Greek for any moment death, right? So I don't spend my time doing things that don't make me feel good, and that means that I don't. You won't find me drinking a lot. Now, I will have 1 or 2 pints and stuff, but I don't see that benefits me. Like, if the shirt doesn't fit, I won't wear it. And I'm really supporting family, and like I've two kids as well, really like healthy and happy, and like that's the kind of behavior that I want to instill on them. I want them not to waste time doing things that they're not interested in doing. So for me, like, it is like I'm all about doing this, like planning out the week. I'm going to try, like, the weather's crap. That's it. I don't base any of my habits on external. There's no external influence on them. Like, when you talk about sea swimming, like, if the weather's crap and it's January and it's blowing a gale and it's freezing cold, I'll be there, and I'll do it, and it'll be 2 minutes, and I'll be back up in the house. It's consistency for me, and if the shirt doesn't fit, I won't wear it, and um, that's like, and it's a little bit of momentum mori, any moment death, do what you want, do what you enjoy doing, and make sure you're doing it, and don't waste time doing things that you're not happy doing. So it's more about use of time than time management, I think.
It's really hard when you get good stuff like that, and I suppose me listening to that, I all instantly think of all the things that did not benefit me over the last
Yeah.
30 odd years. But it is difficult to see. But using that momentum, using your consistency, what are the next goals for you, David?
So I did unfortunately injure my knee in Barcelona, but it's a niggle that's been there for a while, right? Bulgaria didn't help and training for that, so I'm taking it easy with that at the moment. So for me, what I'm doing is taking the time right now to focus on jiu-jitsu, really trying to be consistent in that at the moment. In addition to that, I've also reluctantly, and I hate to say this on a running podcast, but I've signed myself up for the Trika there in the RDS. And the guy I'm doing it with is like a fucking ranked High Rocks Ireland top guy. So I'm going to be doing it with him, the 800 meter one. I know nothing about it, literally nothing about it. You're familiar with it, are you? I'm not.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
we
did the
are.
first
And if I can
doubles
give
one.
you some advice, start training.
I think you'll love it though. Eric doesn't take his own advice.
The guy that I'm doing it with is a personal trainer, and he is a ranked. I know nothing about high rocks, but he's ranked quite highly on it. So he sent me on the work that we're gonna have to do together over the next 6 weeks, and it looks intense. It's not immediately something that I would say I'm really keen to do because it's in a warehouse and it feels a little bit more kind of marathonish world to me, more so than trail. But it's just something different. Um, but in the world of running, unfortunately I didn't get to go. The lads are going to the Skyrunning Worlds in France this year. Ian is going and a couple of other lads, but I've just been plagued with injuries, unfortunately, the last couple of weeks. And again, that's why this feels really disingenuous because I haven't really had an opportunity to get out and run before this. So yeah, I'm just trying to manage my fitness. But like ultimately, I'm always looking for the next big thing. You know, it's what I look like. I don't know if you ever heard of the Transylvania 100, but that's the type of stuff that I'm like, or the Marathon des Sables, or not the Marathon des Sables in Morocco, but there is one in Fuerteventura as well. Like it's the adventure stuff I'm interested in. You know, it's not necessarily the wearing the Ireland jersey or anything like that. For me personally, like that's a lovely add-on. But for me, it's the adventure, like looking at these peculiar, like the ultras are getting so peculiar now. Like there's one in England there as well. I won't digress too much, but there's one in England as well where you're running a tunnel. I don't know. Have you seen that one in the underground?
Oh, yes, I have. You're just going over and back in the darkness for like 24
Yeah,
hours, something, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah,
I have
yeah. So
seen that.
yeah, it's 100.
You lose your
It's a
mind in
hundred
that.
miles. That's the idea. That's the fascination of it. So, uh, yeah,
God.
there's myths about it and everything. It's bizarre. Like the thing that's stopping me from doing it right now is that like the 100 mile is too much. Like they need to bring it down to a 50, and if they bring it down to a 50, I'll be there. But 100 miles is too much for that carry on, I think.
I think one is too much in the tech. I will say one thing that the trike in the high rocks world that might make you more appeased to it. We had Tom Hogan on the podcast a couple of years ago, and Tom pretty much got on board with high rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very early into it in terms of before it got really popular and stuff over here. And one of the things he said about doing high rocks or trike was that one of the tips he was like, it is your ability to be able to suffer and keep going. And that always stood with me when I'm doing these things because I don't have that ability. I'm like, shit. But it is that like you suffer from like the halfway point and stuff like that and trying to keep going. And I think when you're doing the sleds and stuff like that, that will benefit you because especially doing doubles, you blitz through those kind of exercises, but that kind of sprinting up mountains kind of stuff and all the rest you do, I actually think your fitness levels would be really, really attuned to that. And to say what Eric said, I think it's just once you get used to the exercises, that could be your world as well. Like that from the suffering side of things, you're set up pretty well for that.
Yeah, and it's in like Tom Hogan as well. Like he's obviously a Wexford fan as well, and like he was in the world mountain running as well, and he did incredibly well in it. Ian will tell you all about him as well. Like Ian went off traveling with Tom. I think is Tom Hogan. Was he like the Ireland #1 high rocks champion or something like that? Am I right in saying that?
Yes, yeah, he was originally in the Elite
I think I'd
15.
read
It
somewhere that.
doubles. Yeah, he would have done a lot of that stuff. He would have been like a couple of years ago, he was definitely in Elite 15. He's definitely done a lot with Dina Hogan. They definitely podiumed like pretty much all over Europe and stuff. I think he podiumed recently with his son, who's like 17, 18 or something like that. Maybe the last Dublin High Rocks, I think he did. And they have like a huge Team Hogan community and stuff in High Rocks right there. Like when it comes to it over here in
Yeah.
Ireland, there's a few names. He's definitely on top of it. Like
Oh, of course, yeah. Wait, Ireland's fittest family as well, wasn't he? I think he was.
I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Can I imagine if he was? He probably
Yeah.
won the fucking thing, or his family did.
Yeah, no, he definitely was. They were on Ireland fittest family years ago. His family they did really well in it. I can't remember if they won it or not. They may have. So.
I'm gonna go with a limb and say they did, even though I didn't see it. But David, it's been absolutely fantastic listening to your stories and everything else over the last hour, and it's been insane listening to some of your stories and stuff you're into on the mountain running and all. But it's been great.
Yeah, no, listen, I really appreciate the opportunity to chat to you lads, and yeah, complete imposter syndrome here. Follow the other lads on Instagram; they're all brilliant. That's what we keep you going.
Dave, if you've imposter syndrome, you can only imagine what myself and Eric have right now. And on that note, thank you. Thank you very much for listening to this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast with myself, David, and Eric. Take care.
Cheers, guys.